You're watching ABC Alaska.
Now, from ABC Alaska, more news, more often. Covering the day's top headlines, this is ABC Alaska News at 10.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on ABC Alaska News at 10. I'm Alfredo Cuadros. Coming up, a group demanding that the governor take, quote, real action on COVID-19. And the University of Alaska making a statement on the future of sports due to the rise of the pandemic. But first, let's turn our attention to our top headline. An Anchorage man sentenced to over 13 years of prison following an extensive investigation on 2 robberies. 22-year-old Kek Nathal Bowl of Anchorage sentenced today in federal court for 2 separate armed robberies committed in 2019. In short, Bowl admitted to entering a Cash America store in Gamble Street on June the 1st of 2019, where he fired a shot into the ceiling, threatened to shoot an employee, and escaped with almost $400 in cash. He also admits that 2 weeks later, he entered a Credit Union 1, where he again shot at the ceiling, threatened employees, and this time made off with $8,000 in cash. During the sentencing, several victims came forward to describe the events, telling the federal judge about the crimes and how it traumatized them. Investigators for the case were handled by the Federal Bureau of Investigation with assistance from the Anchorage Police Department Robbery Assault Unit. A Wasilla man arrested after an investigation by Alaska State Troopers. 41-year-old David Waite was arrested in relation to a domestic disturbance on West Horizon Drive in Wasilla. Investigations revealed that the man assaulted a female and damaged property valued at $200. He was transported to the Matsu Pretrial Correctional Facility in Palmer, where he was held in custody without bail. Waite currently faces 2 charges for assault in the 4th degree and criminal mischief. Today, the Department of Health and Social Services announced 589 new cases of COVID-19 in Alaska, bringing the total of confirmed cases to 22,405. Recoveries remain the same, with totals at 7,161. 2 new death cases in the last 24 hours, leaving the state total at 98. This afternoon, the Anchorage Health Department held their weekly virus update. One of the biggest concerns was school delays and the holidays.
We continue to work with the school district about what a reopen in-person plan looks like. And I think we can all naturally see that within the holiday season, there are lots of opportunities where people are gathering, and there's risk associated with that. And we're encouraging people not to gather. We really will see from the transmission numbers how people change their behavior, and we hope that they will, so that schools can, our children can get back to school in person.
Meanwhile, the Alaska State Employees Association calling on the governor to take, quote, real action in response to COVID-19 spread in Alaska. This in response to a virtual address the Governor Dunleavy delivered this Thursday, where he asked Alaskans to take extra precautions for the next 3 weeks. The ASEA says the governor should be making strong mandates and guidelines in order to make workplaces safer. In a statement, the group says they are unhappy with the governor's general statements of telework, masks, and social distance, instead asking the governor to make a mandate or some sort of legislation that would have an impact in the community. Last night, during his address, the governor said, Yesterday, during his address, the governor is saying he does not want to force Alaskans into a certain lifestyle. His actions lately of a new emergency declaration suggest that he is leaving local counties and municipalities to implement a procedure that works best for each individual region.
I must stress that the next 3 weeks are critical. Starting today, through the end of November, I'm going to ask Alaskans to sacrifice a little more by changing your daily routines. If you own a business that can operate remotely, send your employees home. I'm urging municipalities to take similar action and protect your workforce and communities. If your organization can meet remotely, please do so.
The University of Alaska Anchorage announced that the Sea Wolves indoor winter sports teams will not compete during the remainder of their 2020-2021 seasons. This announcement came this afternoon as the university cites growing concerns over the novel coronavirus. Sports affected include men's and women's basketball, men's and women's indoor track, men's hockey, and women's gymnastics. Decisions for fall sports like volleyball and cross country are currently under consideration, with an announcement expected at a later date. In a statement, the UAA Chancellor, Kathy Sandid, says, "My first priority is health and safety of our students, athletes, coaches, and athletic staff." Similarly, the University of Alaska Fairbanks also announcing to postpone winter intercollegiate sports, but not canceling them at the Fairbanks campus. Instead, leaving the program to an opt-in status, meaning UAF teams will compete to do so if it is deemed safe. The Blood Bank of Alaska is requiring an urgent need of donors with help of life-threatening cases of COVID-19. Today, the Anchorage Office of Emergency Management wants to remind local residents of the continued demand during the holiday season. The Blood Bank is asking for anyone who has recovered from COVID-19 to consider donating convalescent plasma in order to help others recover from the virus. The Blood Bank of Alaska has 6 locations across the state. If you or someone you know would like to donate in this time of need, they ask that you make an appointment on their website or call 222-5630. According to the local organization, it takes the average of 1 hour to save a life.
Let's track the forecast as we head through the weekend. We're going to watch a cold pattern across much of the state. We're going to be getting a little bit colder too in the panhandle, so some rain shower areas try to turn over to snow showers before the moisture heads completely out. To still see a little bit of a system here, bringing in some moisture into the panhandle on Saturday. To the northwest, it's colder and dry across most of the state, and then some more of that dry air heads down into Juneau and the panhandle as we track through the end of the weekend. Let's look at some forecasts heading up across the eastern interior. We're going to be staying in the single digits for Tok and Eagle. Tracking north, we drop below 0 in some areas, crossing the Brooks Range, and we'll have highs in the teens heading up to the Beaufort Sea coast. Closer to 20 for Ukiavik and 11 for your high tomorrow in Noatak. Further south, we've got highs near 20 in Nome. We've got some teens to the east, and then we're running into some single-digit high temperatures as we head out into the western interior. Across the southwest, we've got dry weather, highs ranging from the teens to the 20s, and a few areas in the south and the coast are reaching up into the low 30s. Also tracking the Kodiak, we're up to 38 degrees. 39 for Cold Bay, and heading to the Aleutians, we've got high temperatures running right up to around 40 degrees for Adak and Adcup. More weather straight ahead.
Stay with us. We'll be right back with more weather and more news.
Let's track a forecast for Anchorage, looking hour by hour. We're looking at temperatures in the low 20s, tracking out through 7 and 8 a.m. During the day tomorrow, we'll have partly cloudy skies. Temperatures reaching up into the mid-20s as we head through the afternoon, close to that seasonal average, a little bit below the average high of 28 degrees. And tomorrow night, we're heading down to the teens. Will be around 20 degrees as we head through the evening. Let's look at high temperatures tomorrow. It's a dry forecast. We've got mid-20s for Wasilla and Palmer. Maybe a snow flurry in Girdwood, but pretty much dry there as well. 31 will be your high temperature. Tracking east, we've got 34 in Seward with partly cloudy skies. 26 for your high in Valdez and Cordova. We're tracking at 38 degrees. Cold day in Glen Allen, high of just 8 above. And then we're looking at 33 in Homer and 29 with partly cloudy skies in Kenai. Let's head to the Panhandle where we still have moisture around and getting just a little bit colder again in Juneau, so our predominant precipitation type with what falls out of the sky is going to be snow. We could pick up an inch or two of accumulation as we head through the night and during the day tomorrow, although the temperatures may go up just a little bit above freezing. But most of the precipitation type should remain in the form of snow as we get these snow showers tracking through the day. And then we're down to around freezing as we head through tomorrow evening. It looks like we're going to be drying up to finish out the weekend and turning even a little bit colder. Some more rain chance in Sitka. High tomorrow, 41. Got some snowflakes in Petersburg, some more rain showers in Ketchikan, also some snowflakes in Skagway, and snowflakes, maybe a few raindrops mixed in for Yakutat. Heading to the interior, it's just going to be cold. Fairbanks, temperatures down into the single digits overnight. May just go back over 10 degrees as we track through tomorrow, which is not far from average. And then tomorrow night, we're heading down closer to that 0 mark as we track through the evening. Highs across the region tomorrow, a lot of places not too far from 10 degrees with cold and dry conditions. Here's your forecast for the next 7 days in Anchorage. Again, cold and dry, the story. We go down to the teens for highs as we head into early next week. We'll see some lows in the single digits, it looks like. Precipitation chances staying pretty low until even through the end of next week. Just a very slight chance that we see a snow shower popping up. Juneau, we're going to dry out and turn colder with highs dropping into the 20s on Monday and Tuesday. A little better chance of seeing some snow showers returning by the end of next week. And Fairbanks, we're looking at temperatures dropping below 0 Sunday night and Saturday night. Even as low as -15 and staying cold next week.
Thanks for keeping it here. I'm Remington Hernandez. It is great to have you with us. Now let's take a look at the news from across the country and around the world. Coming up, 2 more states have been called in the presidential race. Plus, 3 Trump campaign election challenges fell short. Then, 2 men charged in the killing of Ahmaud Arbery were denied bond. And 2 former bank executives are facing charges. The details of these stories and others ahead, but first, let's get the latest on the coronavirus pandemic. The fall surge predicted by public health experts is well underway, with new daily U.S. cases topping 100,000 for 10 days in a row. That's prompted a return to restrictions similar to those imposed in the spring in many places across the country. Karin Caifa has more from Washington.
From New Jersey.
We were just preparing to open up our schools in Newark, but right now, as the cases are increasing, I don't think it's safe.
To Wisconsin.
What this is doing to our hospitals is we're all either full or very close to being full.
To California, which has now surpassed 1 million confirmed cases during the COVID-19 pandemic after Texas hit that mark earlier this week.
Now is the moment that we continue to keep that guard up, make sure we're doing the things that we know can help us bring these numbers down.
The fall surge raising critical concerns. In St. Louis, a dire outlook for hospitals in the coming weeks.
We have no reserves. We have no backup.
And in North Dakota, an additional struggle. Some people still dismissing the virus as a hoax.
Well, that's been an ongoing challenge for us here in local public health and across the entire state of North Dakota is to get people to understand the severity.
President Donald Trump attended a closed briefing by the Operation Warp Speed vaccine team Friday.
We ask all Americans to remain vigilant, especially as the weather gets colder and it becomes more difficult to go outside.
President-elect Joe Biden's team preparing its takeover of the U.S. pandemic response in January.
The virus isn't distinguishing between red states and blue states. It is affecting us all collectively.
New daily U.S. COVID cases exceeded 150,000 for the first time on Thursday, per Johns Hopkins data. I'm Karin Caifa in Washington.
The governors of Oregon and New Mexico ordered near lockdowns Friday. It's the most aggressive response yet to the latest surge in cases. Oregon Governor Kate Brown ordered a 2-week freeze starting Wednesday. Most stores will remain open, but all businesses will be required to close their offices and restaurants will be limited to takeout. Social gatherings will also be restricted to 6 people. The Democratic governor warned that violators could face fines or arrest. Turning now to election 2020. The Rose Garden appearance Friday afternoon marked President Trump's first public comment since Joe Biden was projected to win the presidency last Saturday. And they followed 2 more election projections over a week after the vote. Numerous outlets have called Georgia for President-elect Biden. The state has 16 electoral votes, bringing the Democrats' total to 306. That's the same amount President Trump won in 2016. And this is the first time a Democratic presidential candidate has won Georgia since Bill Clinton in 1992. Counting mail-in and provisional ballots slowed down the process of tabulating the results. Georgia also kicked off a ballot audit Friday, mandated by a new state law, requiring a race be recounted to verify its new election machines. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger chose to audit the presidential race because of its tight margin. Meanwhile, counting ballots also slowed getting results in North Carolina, which has been called for President Trump. He now picks up that state's 15 electoral votes, bringing the president's total to 232. 270 are needed to be elected president, and it still appears unlikely Trump can win. And despite the dim prospects for victory, President Trump continues his refusal to concede, even as his campaign's challenges in some states fall short. A Michigan judge has denied a bid by Trump supporters to block certification of results in Detroit. Chief Judge Timothy Kinney wrote, "It would be an unprecedented exercise of judicial activism for this court to stop the certification process of the Wayne County Board of Canvassers." In Pennsylvania, a law firm working with Trump withdrew. That's after an appeals court rejected an effort to block about 9,300 mail-in ballots that arrived after Election Day. And in Arizona, Trump is backing off his lawsuit filed Saturday for a hand review. It claimed some voters were confused on Election Day and thought their votes might be counted as overvotes. But Trump's lawyers dropped the suit because the margin of victory is too wide. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services has updated the naturalization test, and it will now have more questions. The updated exam will include 128 civics items to study and will require the applicants answer 20 questions instead of 10. Applicants must also answer 60% of questions correctly, which is more in total. In addition, the new test removes geography questions and alters prior ones. Experts say the new test could possibly triple the amount of time each immigration officer spends testing applicants, which may reduce the amount they can do in a day. But officials say the updates cover a variety of topics that will provide the applicant with a more well-rounded experience. The changes take effect December 1st. 2 men charged in the killing of Ahmaud Arbery were denied bond by a Georgia judge Friday. Gregory and Travis McMichael are accused of chasing down Arbery on February 23rd and shooting him after he was seen jogging through their neighborhood. They have since pleaded not guilty to malice and felony murder. And Thursday, defense attorneys brought in character witnesses to speak for Travis, who allegedly fired the shots. Prosecutors countered that by releasing a text message in which he used a racial slur. He's also accused of using one after he shot Arbery. And after 2 days of hearings, the judge denied bond over concerns that the men took the law into their own hands. Meanwhile, ex-Wells Fargo CEO John Stump is accused of misleading investors in the bank's fake account scandal. Friday, the Securities and Exchange Commission charged Stump and Carrie Tolstedt, a former top executive, accusing them of disclosing sales figures they should have known were inflated and misleading. The charges came 4 years after the bank admitted to creating millions of fake bank and credit card accounts. The SEC says Stump agreed to pay $2.5 million to settle the charges. He did not admit or deny the claims. Tolstedt left Wells Fargo in 2016 and now faces civil penalties in the case and a possible ban on future banking leadership positions. Optimism that a coming vaccine for coronavirus will help end the shutdowns that have devastated the economy helped stocks in the week higher. These are the numbers. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 399 points, or 1.4%, to 29,479. The Nasdaq rose 119 points, or 1%, to 11,829. And the S&P 500 ended 48 points higher, that's 1.4%, to a record 3,585. Straight ahead, we'll have more, so keep it right here.
Good evening and welcome back. It's time for sports. I'm Jay Phifer. We start the day with big news from Major League Baseball as the first female general manager has been announced in the history of the sport. The Miami Marlins have named Kim Ng as their GM. She becomes the highest-ranking woman in baseball operations and the first female GM in any major professional sport in North America. The 51-year-old Ng has most recently served as MLB's Senior Vice President of Baseball Operations for the past 9 years, when she was the highest-ranking Asian American female baseball executive. She has also served as an assistant general manager for the New York Yankees and Los Angeles Dodgers, working with teams that made the playoffs 8 times and won the World Series title 3 times. Ng will be the 5th person to lead the Marlins baseball operations. She succeeds Michael Hill, who was not retained after the 2020 season. Ng's hire continues a wonderful trend of progression within the organization. Derek Jeter became baseball's first black CEO after his group bought the Marlins in 2017. We continue with MLB news as the Most Valuable Player awards were given out yesterday evening. Over in the American League, Chicago White Sox first baseman Jose Abreu won the American League MVP after helping power the team to its first playoff berth in 12 years. The 33-year-old slugger received 21 of 30 first-place votes and 374 points in total in voting announced by the Baseball Writers Association of America. Abreu led the majors with 60 RBIs and 148 total bases. He also topped the AL with 76 hits and a .617 slugging percentage. Over in the National League, Freddie Freeman easily won the National League MVP award, topping off a trying year that saw him become gravely ill with COVID-19. He received 28 of 30 first-place votes, beating out the likes of Dodgers outfielder Mookie Betts and Manny Machado of the San Diego Padres. We move to college football, where another game in the Pac-12 has been canceled because of COVID-19 complications. Saturday's game between Utah and UCLA will not be played, the conference announced. It marks the second straight week the Utes are unable to play because of reasons related to COVID-19. With Friday's earlier announcement that Cal and Arizona State would not play, the Pac-12 will look into the feasibility of having Cal play UCLA at the Rose Bowl, with Sunday being discussed as a possibility, sources told ESPN. We finish up with the Masters second-round coverage. The rain wasn't a factor today, but a few golfers had to complete the first round because of darkness. We get our first look at Abraham Ancer here. He's your co-leader at the par 5/8, getting comfortable, and he'll roll that one in. Ancer finishes his day with a 67. On to Justin Thomas. He's also on the 8th hole, but in trouble. Third shot from the Needles. He gets up the hill, and a nice, friendly roll. Well placed on that one. Thomas would birdie the hole as he moves to 8 under. Thomas now on the very next hole. Another birdie attempt here, and he will convert that one. Thomas goes low on the second round, shooting a 69, ending his day at 9 under. Over to Tiger Woods now. On the par 5 second, in the bunker is Woods on this third shot. Hits that one right at the flag. Shades of that epic chip in from 2005. It needed just one more roll, but doesn't fall. Woods would birdie the hole to go to -5. Checking in with the world's #1 player, Dustin Johnson, on the par 4 9th with a short birdie try, and he'll knock that one down. DJ wouldn't score as low this round, shooting only a 70, but still 9 under for the tournament. Here's a look at Sung Jae Im, also won the 9th at 7 under, looking at a short birdie. Bottoms for Im, concluding a wonderful day. He was one of the many golfers who had to finish up the first round earlier. Looking at Patrick Reed now, he's on the par 5/8. His birdie attempt will drop in. Reed moves to 6 under on the round. Here's our first look at CT Pan at the par 4 5th, looking for a save, and he'll get it. Nice read and speed there. Pan would finish at -7 on the course. Getting our final look of the day at John Rahm at -7 on the par 3 12. Not an easy putt here, but Rahm drops it in. He certainly likes that effort with a fist pump. And play would later be suspended because of darkness, with action resuming tomorrow morning. Hey, stay right there. Don't you touch that dial. We'll have more news for you after this.
You're watching ABC Alaska.